relaxing, ain't it? People watch me every night out at very harsh outbreaks. Will you bring me a drink, please?
Yeah, not a problem, man. Oh, Chad. Didn't see yous over there. Welcome back to another episode of Wayde's World. Proudly brought to you by Wayde himself, in accordance to the truth. Now everything said is based on individual experience or individual research. So thank you all for coming on and tuning on in. So from here on out, let's open the door to the next episode. Welcome. Welcome to Wayde's World. All right, kia ora, and welcome to Wayde's World season number 3. We're on to, what is it now, our 32nd episode, I think now. So we've been doing all audio from now, from the beginning. So today will be the first video side of Wayde's World. And obviously you can see sitting right next to me, if you're watching this video right now, we have two very strong men in the truth world, or I don't even want to call it the truth world, but the standing up for themselves world at the moment, I would more put it, and sort of standing up against the governments and the corruption that is going on in the world. We have Aaron over here, who comes from Australia, so he's all the way over here from Aussie, and we've got Juno down the bottom there, all the way from Canada. So we've got a really good mix of people in this right now, and it'll be a good discussion. We're all on the western side of the world. We're all sort of having very similar things happen within our countries. So yeah, I'll pass it over to them first. Aaron, if you want to go first, if you want to introduce yourself, bro. Throw it out. I'm underarming it straight to the Aussie, bro. You're getting it straight away.
I was really hoping Juma was going to go before me, because I did not know what to fucking say about myself. I don't know. I am.
Man, talk up the damn shit, bro. Just talk it up, bro.
I'm Aaron, obviously. Make it make sense. Hags is what you might otherwise know me as. I very early on was, bought into the COVID narrative and started realizing very quickly that things weren't adding up. And over time, I realized that, the things that weren't adding up, and realized that it was all basically a farce. And while doing that, I've spent my time just trying to put information out for people to read when they're ready to, if they're ready to try and understand what it is and what is not. And that's basically how I fell into this. Juma, you go.
All right. So my name is Juma. I've came out standing up with my own brand name called Impenetrable. That recognizes that there was a lack of individuals who actually do stand up for themselves and what they believe in and what they feel is justifiably right. So I came out with the brand, and then lo and behold, everyone's blasted cult group, aka their government, just now made my brand look that much more better and more righteous in every which way about it. So here I am. All right, that's what it is. Okay? Yeah.
Here's all the boys. So, no, thank you too for giving up your time. I know it's pretty late in Canada over there at the moment, bro. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's just smoke time. That's all, really.
it's smoke and talk shit time. That's what we like here, bro. That's what we like. So,
yeah, thanks for having us on. Also, Wayde. Obviously, I appreciate everything you do. So yeah, I appreciate you giving us your time and allowing us to have this conversation.
No problems, brother. No problems at all. This is what we're here for. We're here to sort of just at least show, especially to my listeners out there in New Zealand, and I know there is a few over the world as well, sort of what is going on in your guys' individual countries as well, and sort of a bit of a story about all of us, how we got to where we are. And I think when we start to speak on these things, this is when we also shine our light without having to really shine the light as well. So it's an awesome thing to be able to connect with people all over the world. So appreciate it. But first things first, I don't know who wants to answer this first. You guys can fight and squabble between each other on who answers what first. But I guess for me, in New Zealand, when it crossed the line for me was early in 2020 when we had a legislation put out that they could enter our homes without a warrant. They could remove us under the Emergency Act of the COVID legislation. With you guys specifically, what was that line that was drawn in the sand for you guys that when they crossed that was it? Like you had to start speaking out, like, and you couldn't not.
Juma?
Oh, I love it how Aaron just like puts it out into the black hole first, right? Yeah. Let's make this a racist situation, like the same way how the government does. Yeah, let's just do it that way, okay? Let's cause the separation right there, bro. No such thing as unity whatsoever, isn't it?
When have I ever not gone to you first? I always go to you first.
All right, so honestly, straight up, what actually made me start questioning, well, I've been more awake to a lot of the stuff that's been going on with like a lot of the government and also the UN, United Nations, because my father was actually opening up my eyes to a lot of things at a young stage. But that's a long story all in itself altogether. But to get to the point, when they came out saying like, all right, everybody needs to start wearing the fucking facial diaper over their faces. That's when I was just like, all right, this whole shit's gone to the birds, because like at a time I was just finishing working at a metal grinding place doing like stair lifts for like senior citizens that you would place on the stairs. So of course I have to wear a mask and I'm like grinding out metal the entire time. And I'm even wearing an N95 mask, and that shit still didn't protect me from like metal particles getting into my nose and some shit at the end of work. So when I realized that, okay, you guys are thinking that a mask is going to stop a virus when the shit's not even stopping metal particles that's going up my goddamn nose at work almost every goddamn day. All right, y'all are fucking dumb. This is dumb. This is the dumbest shit ever. I looked at my entire family and was just like, if you guys want to believe this foolishness, all right, you can join them, because I'm not joining that fucking clown show. Like, get the hell out of here with that. So that's when I really started noticing like, all right, they're really going after like everything and everybody in regards to the whole foolishness.
If I'm completely honest with you, I don't actually remember what the exact moment was. I think it was an accumulation of things for me personally. It like I said, I was all in at the start. I was pro mask. I was, pro lockdowns, or flatten the curve rather. The idea of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I was all for that. And I don't know, I saw things weren't adding up and weren't making sense. And as I kind of actually took the time to look into it myself, I could start to see the problems and the issues with what they were telling us as opposed to what was actually happening. And, by actually taking time to look into it for myself, I could understand things the way only I can, or anyone can, as they try to learn things from their view. So for me, like I said, I don't remember exactly one specific thing. I think it was just an accumulation of things. And I think the lockdowns after the whole 2 weeks to flatten the curve was probably a big thing. Like I said, I don't fully remember, but I do remember getting to a point where I was like, all right, you said 2 weeks, we're at like fucking 2 months now. Like, what the fuck's going on? I'm sure it was shorter than that, but for me, it was an accumulation of things. And I, unlike both of you, I was not aware of all this other stuff going on behind the scenes. I had heard about Agenda 2030 and I laughed it off, because I read the you will own nothing and will be happy. And I remember when I got that sent to me, I said, like, this was written by a fucking 10-year-old. This is hilarious. Like, this is some of the funniest shit I've ever fucking read in my life. There's no way that there's any validity to this. And once I found out, like once I started going down that rabbit hole, I was like, oh shit, this is not actually a joke. And obviously we've seen over the last 2.5 years, the steps taken to, control society and pull people apart and divide people and pit people against each other. And yeah, that's how I've kind of ended up here with you guys, fortunately enough to be able to meet you guys through what we've all been doing individually. And I think, as bad as social media has been, it's been positive in that sense that we're able to have this conversation from New Zealand and from Canada, respectively.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I agree with that. I agree with that statement at the end there.
What was your tipping point? Do you remember any one specific thing, or was it just a build up of?
Yeah. Oh well, mine is about 20 years of research leading up to this. But my tipping point, like I said earlier, just before, was when we had a legislation put in that they could enter our homes without a warrant. That was the first legislation that went in, because to be quite honest with you, I've been watching the world fall apart for the last fucking 20 years of my life. So it was just like, oh, here's another step down the gurgler for the next one. And here's me having a joke about it at work. And then all of a sudden watching all these people literally pick their computers up and run out the door. I was like, are you guys actually this worried about what is going on?
Yeah.
To the point that I even got to the point where I sort of was dumbfounded by. I was more dumbfounded by what I saw.
Yeah,
and was just like, this can't be happening.
Sorry.
It was remarkable to see, wasn't it? And I think, actually, now that just on reflection, I think probably my biggest tipping point, just as far as everything, was when we were going to the protests and they were illegal protests. The first time we started getting shot at and stuff, that was like all right, this is not about and I'd already known prior to this, but that for me really intensified it for me, and it really fucking pissed me off that, basically beating the COVID out of people was better than getting the actual virus itself. In what world does that make sense? It just, there's no logic behind it. But just thought I'd add that in there.
No, perfect, bro, perfect. So now that you've just brought up being bloody shot at in Melbourne, we've also seen what's happened in Canada with the protest in was it Ontario? Sorry, am I pronouncing it correctly? Sorry,
Ottawa. You mean
Ottawa? Sorry.
Ottawa, the capital.
Yeah, the capital there. And then we've also seen the beating that we copped in Wellington outside Parliament too. So we know that these guys disregard the safety, the health and safety for anyone, really. So we can see the agenda playing out right in front of us. I guess looking at Canada, bro, first and foremost, because obviously you guys did start off the big convoy in was it the end of 2021, wasn't it? Beginning of 2022.
It was more of January earlier this, the end of January of this year, around the 28th, 29th, starting from a Thursday when the announcement came out that the truckers would start driving down from areas of the borders and even from far off west of British Columbia to come all the way down to Ottawa, which is the capital city here in Canada. In regards to stopping the bullshit mandates, in regards to whatever it is that is needed by these foolish pharmaceutical companies, in regards to actually just working. Because a lot of people were mostly already fed up from the time being that you never asked for any of this stuff to be done when it was at its height in the 2 weeks that you were saying, let's, stop the curve. But these people were still out there working and providing a great service and all that during the emergency, whatever you guys wanted to call it, of a pandemic. And they were like, so why the change now? And rightfully so. They had every right to be standing up that way. So I'm very much thankful for the convoy. I know everyone else worldwide is also very thankful for it, because
100%.
it really did shed a light on how cult groups, again, I'm never going to give them the right of calling them my government. They are a cult group. In regards to how they operate and how they really do not work in favor of the people. They only work in favor of like how their parties want to win and have control of the situation.
Yep, 100%. 100%. They just that's all they do, don't they, bro? And you guys would both know as well, same system as the world is stuck in. Both sides of the political parties are controlled, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they all talk to one another. That's the whole thing, that everyone thinks that they're like not like talking with one another from like even international standards. Like what I've even noticed right now, like all of the countries that we are in, the 3 countries that we're all living in, they're all recognized under the United Nations as the Commonwealth countries, right? Now, it's funny how they say they call them the Commonwealth countries. I wonder what's so common about the wealth in all of these countries.
The Queen. The Queen.
See,
The Queen.
thank you. So
Yes.
now we realize that literally the whole entire leadership and everything that's been going on in regards to like the mandates, the lockdowns and all that has been literally been a copycat format in all of the Commonwealth countries.
Exactly.
I would actually just like slightly interject in the fact that I think what they did, and they did this intentionally, was try and implement different things in different countries. So, you know, where here we had like, you know, the world's longest lockdown, you know, you guys had lockdowns as well, but shorter lockdowns, different sort of restrictions at different times. And it felt like it was almost a test of what will work, what won't work, and how they
Yeah.
can get people to comply in different situations.
Well, remember now too, like out here in Canada, we have different sections, just like you guys would have like a provinces or like states, as they would say, where
Yep.
the measurements were a little bit more severe than other
Yes.
areas. Like
Yep.
I'm in Ontario, Toronto area, where it was okay, but it wasn't really as severe as like you would say out in Quebec or Montreal was, where they literally had like a curfew time, you know what I mean, in regards to like being at home and all that, which is what you guys went through.
Melbourne had too.
You know what I mean? I know that literally out here in Toronto, since I've been like, I'll be straight up, a criminal myself, because I ain't no stand-up abiding, law-abiding citizen, because I just say fuck the government regardless. Yeah, I've been doing my shadow work and whatever, like, you know, street work in regards to just living my life, what it is. So like the minute they said that clubs are going to get shut down, all right, private home parties, mansion parties was going on. That's where you were finding my black ass at then. Like, fuck it, I'm going to live my life. Right. So
See, I think that's the difference between myself and both of you, because you guys have known about all of this for so long, and I'm only new to it. You know, early to mid 2020 was when I started to actually look into and see and understand all this. You guys having that knowledge prior kind of, you know, gave you those steps forward to be able to understand a lot better than someone like me who didn't know anything about all the other shit that was going on behind the scenes. And look, I would have liked to have known earlier, but you know, better late than never. And I think it's great that people like both of you, with the wealth of knowledge that you've had over such a long period of time, being able to share that with people is really fucking good for everyone. And I've personally learned a lot from, like, a lot of what I know and how I think and understand. I've learned from both of you. And I thank both of you so much for that. Honestly, I don't know if I'd be as open or you know, open-minded to things. I was always a very you know, I was always right, even when I was wrong. I was right, always. Now I'm an open book. I will look at every option available And I believe that's the only way we can actually form, informative opinions is whether you like it or not, you have to listen to the other side, because if you don't, you're living in an echo chamber and you're only getting one side of the story. You can't form an opinion on one side. You have to have both, which means you have to go through all the bullshit. You have to listen to all the bullshit to actually form, an informed argument, conversation, etc. But I just want to say thank you to both of you for everything that you've done for me personally and everything that you've done for everyone else that has followed you guys, throughout the last 2.5 years and even prior to that.
Hey, you're welcome, brother. Yeah, fuck. That's just, I guess for me, bro, it's what I got to do. It's my life purpose. It was what I was born to do, considering my last name is Freeman, and that's no joke. I was born a Freeman, so it was. I'm going to die one. Yeah, there was there's no if buts or whats about it. There isn't, and just like what you said is at the end of the day, I don't care. Like I've said to many people on my channel too, is that I don't care about what actually goes on in the timeline, what is actually happening in the timeline. But as long as that we can actually figure out that we work better together, we're going to get through this. It doesn't matter about, oh, well, he said this and she said this and he said this. At the end of the day, as long as we just know what's going on and we know that these people are against us and who is actually our enemy, because unless we actually don't know who our enemy is, we don't know who we're fighting. No. And that's what we're looking at today is the bigger picture of this is that, just like it was brought up before about the Queen's involved. We've got the World Economic Forum involved. We've got Davos, we've got Skull and Bones, we've got Freemasons, we've got Jesuits, we got, the works that are all involved in here. But the question should be at the end of the day, to be able to actually see who's going for power and who's actually this war is with, you need to study both sides. Like you said, you need to understand, like, when I learned about all the stuff with like obviously a while back about Freemasonry and things like that, I'll bring it up because everyone talks about the Freemasonry. The next thing I did is went and spoke to Freemasons, went and started actually researching about Freemasons and found out when they were actually infiltrated, when they were taken over, when it was corrupted, what it was originally started for, and went back on the history. And that's with every subject I look at. The wars, the world wars, I look at both sides of them, which is actually technically the same side again. But yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. In order to be open-minded, you need to look at both sides of things sometimes to really create a good opinion on it.
Well, that's the good thing why I say like how I was never always just like a law-abiding citizen, because when you start to really see things from both sides of the perspectives, you start to realize and start to seeing that a lot of like these laws, which we all now come to understand, are originally now protecting the original thieves because they knew there was going to be a counteraction to what they are doing. Right. So they don't want to get robbed back for what they are doing of robbing people in regards to what they are stealing or taking from them. Right. So that's what I realized, that man-made laws are literally just protecting man from like what they have originally done.
Yeah, it's the create a problem, provide the solution.
Yes.
Exactly. Right. So I've just noticed completely in regards to like the lifestyle now going forward that this is what now the governments have always been manipulating and throwing out there in people's ideology of minds is that, all right, if we create this type of problem amongst the people, then we're going to provide the solution. And then, yes, we now have control and profits in regards to what is going on in regards to our people, they would say. When really now you're not treating them as equal people, you're now treating them as slaves. So the whole entire slave mentality is still being like run upon in regards to full effect, but a lot of people are just still not seeing it because we're still caught in this rat race. Well, I need to be making this amount of money for this and I need to be doing that. And you're not seeing the whole entire like picture. So because they want to keep everybody even going in a fast movement in regards to like making money and all that, you're not taking the time to slow down and saying like, wait, hold on, this is just not adding up right now. So
I think
but go ahead.
that's sorry, I was just gonna say, I think that's it's a really good point. And I think just back to the slavery thing, like slavery, like proper legitimate slavery still exists in South Africa. In some of the Muslim countries, I forget which ones they are, they still use slaves. They physically enslave people and use them. So, you know, the idea that, you know, slavery, you know, has stopped or whatever people believe, it is factually incorrect. It still exists, and it's still very prominent in China. It's slavery, like it's still a very prominent thing. And I don't know what we can do to, I don't know, help stop or curtail or influence that. But I just think that there are obviously levels to everything, and I feel like this is something that my mate's been telling me a lot lately, and it's really been like festering inside me. And he keeps saying to me, he goes, I've lost 2.5 years of my life that I will never get back. And he is infuriated by it. And when I think about that, like, whilst for probably 90% of the last 2.5 years, I completely ignored, you know, all the fucking bullshit that was going on as far as like staying within the legal boundaries of doing shit. We still lost 2.5 years of our life because we couldn't leave the country. We couldn't go state to state. And we're never going to get those 2.5 years back. These people literally took 2.5 years away from every single person on this planet's lives that they will never be able to get back. And that should infuriate everyone.
Yeah. I'm with you on that too, bro. But at the, like, being on the other side of the fence at the same time too, it kind of had to happen.
Yes.
You know, in all honesty, we were so stuck on this materialistic world, you know, like you said before as well about, you know, we have to earn this much money, we have to have this fucking watch, we have to have this car, we have to have this pair of shoes or this hat, you know, or whatever. We're stuck on these material things. And even to this day, like within the movements too, when people are like, oh, you know, I'm sick of talking about the problems, let's talk about solutions. And then you give them a solution, say like of peaceful civil disobedience.
Yeah, and
which would collapse the system. They don't want to do it because they're not willing to sacrifice. So
no.
And that's the point that we're at now. And this is why I've said, like, it's, you know, we're in season 3 as well. We're in this third season of the cycle that we're in now. And it's now, do we continue perpetuating this cycle, or do you step out of the cycle? Like, there comes a point in this fight where you've got to actually, I sort of say this a little bit too, is sometimes being the resistance gives them more energy. Sometimes being able to just completely get up and walk away from the system and not even listen to anything that they say will collapse the system faster.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I want Juma to speak to this because I think he speaks to this very well. But the key point is that it is, for most people, it should be quite easy to remove yourself, you know, from the societies that we're supposed to conform to. But I think Juma, he's probably one of the best people I've heard explain this. So if you want to take this, Juma, go for it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
In regards to, sorry, what was it in fully?
The sort of civil disobedience, like collapsing the system, being able to get yourself out of the system. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, what it was that I really started to learn, like, out here in Canada, a lot of people in regards to coming into Canada as like immigrants or just now starting to learn out here have been more reliant on like the government's welfare system or the government's, like, you know, support systems in regards to getting by. Like, even though some of the programs are like a great idea, great initiatives and all that, I just found out that too many of like society here are just so reliant on like saying like, where's the government for this? Where's the government for that? Where's the government for this? And what I started to realize and start to like tell people afterwards was that, all right, if you're always going to be relying on the government in regards to solving your situations, understand now they're now have the control now to setting the rules and the regulations because they're solving the problem. It's not you who's done it, it's them. So now you left the whole entire like responsibility in somebody else's hand instead of yours. And then you're going to get mad in regards to how the rules and regulations are being placed because they're the ones who are solving it. So it's like, what do you really want out of this, Joe? Like, come on now. So because of that, I've now really taught myself where it's like, and my father has always been showing me this, where it's like, if you can do it yourself, do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is no way, highway in power that you should be paying somebody else or being lazy to doing something if you can do it your damn self.
Yes.
You are saving money. You are actually like building on your craft, everything about that so that you make yourself as strong and independent as you can be. Because the less weaknesses that you have, the better self-efficient you will be, and you're not going to be so self-reliant on other things or things outside of you.
100%.
So,
I think I might have cut Wayde off. Were you in the middle of saying something before?
No, you're all right. You're all right. Carry on.
No, you were halfway through something, weren't you? I didn't realize it until after I started talking, but sorry.
Fucking no dramas with me, brother. No dramas with me at all. All good.
I'm like wondering who's the one really smoking weed out here right now, man. I know I've been puffing the whole entire time.
I only had a couple before I came on.
Me off like a weed head, like just yeah. You know what? I was just thinking this, like, and I'm just like, so wait a second, were you not listening that I was like talking this entire time, bro? Like, what the hell? Like, you just went out on spaceship mode.
I listened to everything you said. I honestly did, but I realized halfway through what I was saying, I didn't think that Wayde had actually finished saying what he needed to say, and I just wanted to address it before I
finished. All good, brother. I prefer to be cut off anyway. All good. Otherwise, I don't have to talk as much.
Oh man.
Man,
Aaron, you are making this the joke of the show today, man. Damn, bro. Oh, man.
I always seem to end up the joke.
There's got to be one, brother. There's always got to be one.
You know what I mean? I thought like I'm like a clever, smart person that make people laugh, but damn, bro. Holy, okay.
Coming it out with that one. Oh, man.
But now, like, I have my question then for you guys. What made you guys now really start like making yourself being like on the public stand where it was like you really just don't care? Because as we all know, like we've all seen it throughout history, people who have spoken out truly and righteously in regards to like, you know, the unification of people, their rights, whatever, whatnot, have been like forced to be silenced over the years or, you know, been discredited. And I know like for myself, when I started to start speaking out and everything, everyone in my family was more like, yo, please be careful because, you know, like you know, we've seen what's happened to like people in the past, you know, you already know what's going on with like, you know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, so on and so forth, other individuals, Colin Kaepernick in football, whatever it is that it may be, they have gone out and done that. And you just didn't care. Like I just said, I don't give two rat's ass, whatever fucks, I'm just doing it. What made you guys say that, you know what, I don't give two fucks, I'm gonna do it?
Go right off.
What told me? Well, first things first with me, bro, is like I had just been through the process of, well, I shouldn't say through a process. I just sort of come through or was coming through the end of of probably a 10-year cycle for myself for post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression. And I think that's what really gave me I don't really give a fuck what anyone else thinks about me anymore, because all I wanted to do, just why I started speaking out, not even about what we're talking about, was to help people with mental health.
Mental health.
The mental health side of things, because I really wanted to help people there. But for me, the real moment that I was like, and it was the moment that my family really saw it was real too, was when the police first turned up on my doorstep at 6 o'clock in the morning, early on in 2020, and dragged me out of bed. You get a million questions under the sun. Yeah, and this is in New Zealand for people that don't know. But one thing I knew at that point when those police turned up at my doorstep is obviously I'd been watching what had been going on in Australia. So I knew that all these police were raiding these houses that people were speaking out. And then, of course, people were putting the videos online, and it was putting more people into fear. So I was like, when the cops came up, I didn't even pick my phone up. I've got one little snippet of recording that I recorded when they were at my house. But 4 times the cops turned up, and I was like, I know you're here to try and put fear into the people. My voice is getting out there. You're trying to use me now. You're trying to resource the source to produce fear for the rest of the nation, like for the people that are speaking out. So at that point in time, I was just like, nah, that's it. Like when the cops were there, and even when I had the next level turn up, which was not national security, but they call it what is it, department over here? Shit, I forgot the name of it, but it's like it's a level up, and they turned up in their suit and ties too. And I think that day was the day, and they said, you got to watch what you're talking about on your live streams, and they said, when are you going live next? You're not going to go live again now after we showed up, are you? And I said, no, I'm going live tomorrow night. Tune on in. And that was the moment that I really said, nah, fuck these dudes. Like, I don't care anymore. And because I have no children as well, I don't have no children. I've got nothing. Yeah. If anything ever happened to me, I've got no dramas that will be left behind. And not that kids are dramas, but you know what I mean? Like, baggage left behind.
Yeah,
I
was about to tell you, like, yo, you better correct yourself on that.
Yeah. No, the kids are the divine. They're the sacred divine. They always will be. But I think this is
why we're doing this.
Yeah, it's just part of my purpose. It was just part of who I was, probably not to have children, so I could put myself in this position. So just because I knew that there was a lot of other people out there that couldn't because of the positions they were in, it was just like, well, fuck it. Like, I do not care what you do to me. I don't care what you say about me. I've been through the fucking darkness of the dark with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Now, you can't defeat me from here on out. I've already defeated myself and rebuilt myself. So here I am.
That's fucking awesome,
Aaron, your turn. What made you start doing what you did?
I think for me, like publicly speaking, what pushed me into actually starting to talk publicly was the first time where we had the riot police and we were getting shot at, pepper sprayed, and all those things. That day, I can't remember what day it was, but that first day when that.
Oh, we lost him.
Did we lose him?
Oh, we lost him. Oh, he's gone into a little bit of a hyperdrive there. He's probably gone to the next dimension. He'll be waiting for us.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, them vapes, man. I don't know, man. Like, them vapes, I don't know what you guys are doing over there, man. But I'm not lying down under, like, don't do the vape. Stick to the damn regular papers, bro. Just stick to the regular paper and smoke the weed, okay?
Answer the question. I'll try not to take too long. No, look, honestly, I think that was my tipping point. Like, even to this day, I still get nervous.
Sorry, bro. Yeah. Sorry, bro. Do you want to start again? You paused on for us, so we wouldn't have got it. We didn't hear anything that you said. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just saying, yeah, for me, the like, I still get nervous to this day publicly speaking. I'm still not comfortable with it. I don't enjoy doing it. I don't know. Like I said, the first protest where we started getting shot at and stuff was when I was like, all right, fuck this. I need to start talking. Myself, I've never, as far as I can remember, which is not that far because I've got a terrible memory, but in all seriousness, I've never cared what anyone's thought about me. So that's never been an issue for me. Going back as long as I can remember, I have not once ever cared about what anyone thinks of me other than the people that I care about and the people that genuinely care about me. Outside of that, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. So that was never an issue for me. For me, it was about, like, I would go to the protests and then come home, and on the news it'd be, a couple of hundred people, a couple of thousand people, when it was like, thousands of people, and then tens of thousands of people, then hundreds of thousands. And I'd get home and I'd be like, I need to actually show what's going on, because all people are doing is getting their information from these bullshit news sources that, we're waiting for groups to depart, because that's what happens. You would know, both of you, over the course of a huge walk, the group kind of at the front starts to go forward, the back starts to, and then there's just this small group, and that's the shot they go with. They will try and find the right angle, like the right shot where they go, oh, there's only a few hundred people there today. When it was the Westgate Bridge, for example, I think it was about 50,000 people or something like that. I think for me, the public speaking, that's what pushed me over.
Well, okay. So for me, what it was that I was first invited to start coming out to the protest literally by Chris Sky, which most of you guys all know and heard about. Literally, mostly a lot of people know. So came out to the rallies there, but I was still kind of hesitant because, of course, now I do have a son, and I do come from a large family where I have a lot of siblings, nieces and nephews around. So I had to really be careful. Plus, as I stated here, I'm not always the best of the most law-abiding citizen by chance. So of course now too, I also have to make sure that I'm not going to put any other people in jeopardy with my decision making. So
yep.
That definitely was my biggest concern. But what made me just say what, fuck it the most was that when I was out there seeing it, I got to see from both sides of the perspective where they were labeling the people doing the protest as white supremacists when I'm living here in Canada and it's the most multicultural type of neighborhood to be living in, where I was seeing all different types of cultures showing up at the protest rallies, right? Yeah. So it started to bother me more so. Then now too, on my side of perspective of my culture, a lot of people were like, well, why are you going to the marches? Because you've seen what marches have been doing all these years. It ain't gonna do nothing and all that. And why you want to hang out with a bunch of white supremacist people anyways? What's wrong with you? What, you want to get lynched or something? You lost your marbles or something? So that's when I literally start to say, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm gonna just say whatever it is really that's on my mind, because you know what, if this is what my brand is all about, then you know what, I have to lead by example.
Yes. I think
that's what it was.
I think I just want to go back to something both of you said, which Wayde first said, is I'm in the fortunate position, or unfortunate, depending on which way you look at it, of not having kids and also not having an extended family. It's just my mum, my brother, my sister, and myself. So, in that regard, I didn't have to worry about anything that I was doing affecting anyone really. So I think for people like you to be able to come out, having a child and, having all these relatives and things like that it speaks volumes of you as a person. And I think it's incredibly courageous. But yeah, it's hard for me because sometimes when I speak about it, I do forget that I don't have anything on me. You don't have to worry about those things. And then obviously I'm reminded by people like you, Juma, who have those things that you have to have in mind when you're doing these sorts of things.
Well, I appreciate it very much, like, because those are the things that matter to you in life. It's just like the future generations. Like, even if you later on in life are lucky enough, or some people would say, like, just be blessed to being like leaving an effect on someone's life of your presence or your words. I kind of really take it the same way as like what a professional athlete would, what all the great ones would say. It's like, when I go out there, I'm going to give it my all, because you don't know who's first or last impressed, like, who you're impressing, inspiring in regards to like your work ethic, the passion that you do it with, and all of that stuff. So if it's not going to be 100, there's just really no point of me like even showing my face out, literally.
Yeah.
So that's why I like do it at 100 the whole entire time.
Yep.
And that's why I have to think about like everything that matters to me in regards to like my life, because my son is everything that matters. My nieces and nephews growing up where they don't have to go through what I went through in life, that really matters a whole lot. You know what I mean? The more that we can try to make it easier for them, yeah, but as much as we're making it easier for them, and I'm now learning this as a parent, the things that we went through, or what we're going to look at them that we're going to be like, well, man, that's easy. Come on, man, you being soft. Like, but we got to realize that that's the world that we created for them. So like, let's just be a bit more understanding that way in regards to it. But yeah, that's why like I take a lot of those type of things into thought process when I like go out there and speak, because I'm now like representing not even just myself, but my entire family. You know what I mean? So when you put yourself out there in that type of like spotlight, as they say, you know what I mean? You're not just speaking for yourself anymore. You're speaking for like a lot of people too as well. So it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Absolutely. With public speaking for me, like the biggest one I did is I did Wellington, down in Wellington Parliament. I think there was probably about 15 thou, I think, there at the time. And man, like I was like, the minute I step on the stage, I am center of it all. Like there is no hiding now. Like there's no hiding now. And it was either you sink or swim. And there's no way I'm going to sink anymore, Spent 10 years of my life sinking, so it's time to rise up, and it's time to find the way out of here. So man, I know that when you put yourself out like there, you've got your people that your Mr. Smiths out there that like to come and attack you for speaking the truth. And you've got you've obviously with myself and with you guys too, you've obviously got the worries of what these evil people in these corporations are doing to us, or going to pull up on us and do to us for speaking the truth as well. So it's one of those things, I cop it quite a bit, because you guys have probably seen some of my posts and been like, what the fuck's he on about? Sometimes like I pull apart everything, and I don't care about stepping on people's toes. Like at the moment I'm getting shit at the moment for looking further into my own history, which is the history of New Zealand, which is the Māori history. Trying to find out a little bit more about that, and I'm getting torn apart by people who once were behind me because I was speaking out about COVID. So we're stuck in this,
the best thing is about that, the best thing about that, what you just said, is what my father showed me. He goes, I sent you to school to get an education, but the whole thing about an education is this, that a lot of people forget, is that when you go to a school, you're actually being indoctrinated in regards to education. What education is for you to take the research of the information they provided for you and then start researching on it. So what you are doing, Waydos, is actually educating yourself, not just taking in an indoctrination of information.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Right. I don't hold anything back. I dive into everything.
Yeah. So that was the best thing that my father always taught me from a young stage, was that never just take the information at face value. Go and research it. Always do that. And I think that's the reason why, like, all three of us are on here right now, is because we've gone and done our research in regards to like a lot of the things that are happening. We wouldn't be speaking about what we're speaking right now if we haven't done our research on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
You
Absolutely
know,
agreed.
I think
so
sorry, Gemma.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's probably been one of my biggest like experiences over the last 2.5 years is educating myself. I say this quite often, that, you know, like, we as individuals can only understand something the way that only we can. So I could put, like, I put up a paper yesterday that was published just in regards to the breakdown of immune systems in people that have had one or more gene therapies. And when I put these up, I put them up in the hopes that people, can find time to read them. But at the end of it, I always say that you need to understand it in the way you can. So I always do my best to leave my opinion out of it, because I don't want people to read it with a preconceived notion or idea. I want them to read it and understand it in the way that only they can. Because we could have the same, we obviously have, most of the same values, but, we might get to them in a different direction or understand them in a different way. We still end up at the same point. But I might not understand it in a way that Juma does, or in the way that you do, Wayde. I might understand it differently, but we still end up at that same point. And I think the biggest thing for me has been educating myself. And I think, like, for everything bad that has happened over the last 2.5 years, for me personally, it's been an enormous growing experience. And I really do appreciate that. And I've learned a lot about myself and the world, in the last 2.5 years. And I feel very fortunate for that. And obviously, each day we try and do better and try and learn more. And I think that's healthy. And I think that the more people that understand that it's okay to think of something in a way when the information says this, and then when it changes, change your opinion to suit the information that's just come in. People don't want to do that. People are so stuck on their, whatever they tweeted in 2020, and that's it. Like, they can't go back on it, where it's like, no, you should be looking at all the information and taking it in. And it's not only okay that you change your opinion, it's fucking awesome, because that means in the process of what you originally said up till now, you've learned something different and you've changed your opinion to suit. And I think that's critical. And I don't know how we get people to try and understand that it's a good and healthy thing to change your opinion.
The human psyche is a whole nother design.
Bruh. The human psyche is like trying to figure out your woman, okay? All right? It's that simple for us as men. It's not been done yet. It ain't gonna get done anytime soon. All right? Let's just try to focus on what we can control and not try to control what we can't control. That's what I'm on right now.
Yeah.
I think that we can. Oh no, I'm having a mental blank.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you just saying?
Most definitely right now, yeah.
For fuck's sake. This always happens.
That's-
What were you just
that's
saying,
quality.
Sorry.
Like, you're killing me right now, bro. 'Cause I'm sitting here smoking and I'm the one who's thinking like, yo.
This is what happens to me though. When I've got too much shit running through my head, like, I just, like, once it overloads, I just fucking, like, blank, like, completely blank.
Well,
so
that
annoying.
used to be me in regards to public speaking before all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Before, like, I was nervous
Yeah.
in regards to like public speaking, like crazy, bro. Like,
Yeah.
even doing stuff like this right now, like the interviews and all that stuff, like, I would
Yeah.
always be worrying about, like, all right, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? You know what I mean? Because of course, like when you went through the indoctrination of education, they were telling you like, well, this is the way how you need to speak out here to the public and how you need to like interact and all that stuff. That shit made me so nervous. My voice cracked at like the break of dawn if I was just about to even say anything. Okay.
I remember what it was. Here we go. So
yeah.
So I think that
See?
I think broadly speaking, the human psyche is it's very complex, but I think at its core, it's as hard as we make it as individuals. Now, I say that in the sense that like the more bullshit, like if I'll use this as an example, I haven't listened to the news, mainstream media, radio, excuse me, none of this shit. Just that alone has taken so much shit out of my life. And I think a big part of, and I'm not qualified to say this, but it's just my opinion. I think a big part of why people do find it hard is because they're taking on all this fucking information that they don't need to know. Like, you don't need to
man. Okay. I had this posted on my old account, literally and fully. I don't know if any of you guys remember it. It was on my account where I go, everybody is yearning for information, yet they are lacking knowledge in what they are getting.
I remember that.
Oh, I don't, because I've got a terrible memory.
Yeah, you definitely showed it today on Instagram, bro. Shit. I'm just gonna call it as it is. Ace of spade, spade of spade. All right.
I'm not arguing. You're not wrong.
All right. Because that's how I like it done with me, yo. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll own it. Like shit, I'll own it. But like, damn, bro, you well been showing it today on this show today. Like that. But in regards to like, what was it now? Now you made me have that moment now. See what I'm saying? Shit.
I knew you were going to have it. I was waiting for you to have it. I fucking knew you were going to.
Yeah.
Wait, what was he saying? I can't fucking remember.
I'm not getting involved. Don't get me involved, all right? I'm staying out of it. I'm just the host. I'm in the corner doing nothing, all right? I'm staying in the corner.
Yeah. Do the 6 feet distance that they've been saying for everybody else to do. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
It was to do with learning and people people having the information and not actually, taking the information in.
Yeah, because the thing about it too right now is like what it is like, as I always try to show everybody, it's like when we are now taking in information, we've literally put ourselves into this digital world where the information is only being brought to people now in regards to entertainment value. If it's entertaining, people are going to want to tune in and like watch it. They're not going to learn anything because they don't want to learn anything. They just want to be entertained, right? So what it is now is that people now have to be crafty in regards to putting an educational or a learning substance through entertainment. And the problem is that I'm one of those like raw people where it's like, honestly, I'm not going to try to entertain you. I'm just going to give you the raw truth. Now, if you ain't going to like it, that's too bad for you because honestly, you need knowledge, not like fucking all of this bullshit information and needing to be entertained in regards to the information. And that's why I had that post out there where it's like, we look at life right now and everybody is on their phones. And you have a phone that is called a smartphone. That means it's smart enough to give you the knowledge that you need to be seeking to even improve your life. But what is mostly everybody doing with the goddamn thing? Well, I need to be playing this game. Well, I need to be watching YouTube. Well, I need to be watching Netflix. I need to be doing like everything in regards to an entertainment value instead of like fucking learning something.
That and it removes you from reality. So you don't actually have to face, your own self or the things that are going on around you. It's they're distractions, and that's what they want. They want us distracted, because the more people that are informed and that are actually looking for the information, they know the harder it is going to be for them to implement whatever it is they, want to or will eventually implement.
Of course, like the whole entire thing is that everything that they've always tried to tell anybody that's like for the benefit of mankind has always been a trap behind it in regards to them getting profit or collecting information behind everybody's back. And most times it's both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we're in the information age right now. You know what I mean? So I wonder who's been profiting the most right now off the information age.
We know.
We know who's in charge.
I have a question for both of you, because this is something that I think about, not all the time, but maybe once or twice a week. And that is, sometimes I feel like, the time that we put into this, are we, and this is going to sound like very ignorant, I think, but,
Here's the fuck, just say it.
How much of our lives are we going to use up this time, this one chance that we have on Earth, to keep trying to show people all of what is going on and what is coming? And, do you guys, is there any sense in you where you go, like, is this how I want to, spend my life doing these things? Or sometimes do you feel like maybe it's a waste of your time and that you could be doing more things, for yourself individually?
For
right,
me,
I'll answer that.
You want to go
straight up?
Yep, you go first, bro. All yours. You go first. I'll go second.
For me, I've been in a lifestyle where it was like, I was there for like a lot of kids, a lot of stuff. I was doing teaching, I was coaching, been there for a lot of people in other situations, whatever, whatnot. In regards to, awakening their eyes about their own individual selves. Like what I see in them, hopefully they can see it, but they have to just see who they are for themselves, literally at the end of it at the day. But when it comes down to like continuously doing it, for some reason, the story of Noah's Ark always comes to me, where it's like, as everybody knows inside the Bible, he went around and told everybody that a flood is coming. So build yourself a boat or an ark to survive through it all. And majority of the people laughed at it. So I kind of look at it the same way. It's like, all right, I've now done it for like so many years now of trying to tell you guys now to awaken yourselves and how to try to now like live independently and strong for yourselves. Well, the only way that's actually going to like work is unless I now start living that way and making sure I'm prepared for it. So I'm going to go build my ark after telling you guys that this is what's going to be happening. So I'm not going to be saying it anymore. I'm just going to be living it now. And what happens when you start showing everybody that you're living? Oh man, I doubted you. Can I come and join you? Can I be on your boat? You'd be like, sorry, suckers, my boat is full.
I like it. Wait, that's what you got.
Yeah, look, in all honesty with me, I said at the start of this, I'd be here till the end. I will be there until the end. I may not always be on the front line all the time, being the person that's always speaking everything, but I will always be around. I just know inside and through that, like I said at the start of this, I was born for this. And there's nothing else that I've ever wanted to do in this world apart from help humanity. Like I said, I started off wanting to help with mental health and things like that. So I guess I don't want to be sitting there fighting corporations and police and that every single year, every second week. I don't want to be doing that. I want to be on my own farm. I want my own farm out in the middle of nowhere, with a nice life. But in order for us to get there, sometimes some of us need to sacrifice some of our lives. And I guess that I know that this is my sacrifice. So, like I said, I'm not always directly in the front line, and I tend to take a break and things like that, but I'm always around. So I'll be here till the fuck, until I know that humanity's free, or at least I've left this place a better place than when I arrived. So they're my two goals in life. So hopefully it happens.
Well, I definitely applaud you for those goals, because that's the same thing for me. I'm just trying to go at it like a different route about it, where it's like, after, like, I don't really like to talk that much, and my son knows that. I only like to speak one time, and then it's like, all right, you're just gonna have to learn on your own, or you're gonna learn the success or the failures of your decision. And that's what I try to show my son. It's like, people are going to give you the signs, or people are going to give you a heed of warning of what's going to happen, or there's going to be signs and warnings out there. And if you're not like paying attention to it, you're going to feel it. You know what I mean? So that's how I kind of like live life now about it. It's just like, just pay attention and seeing what the signs are out there in life, and then just live your life accordingly to it. If it's time for you to speak, then it's time for you to speak. If it's not time for you to like speak, then just keep on walking the walk. You know what I mean? I've just been that kind of like dialect. Only speak when it's necessary, really.
Yeah, well, I've moved out of, sorry, bro. I've moved out of the city now, and things like that as well. Like I've got out of the city. I've got out of Auckland City now. So that was one of the goals. I'm about 90% free of the system. I have a driver's license and a bank account left. Probably the two things that make it a little bit easier to survive in this in the system at the moment: a bank account and a driver's license. And that's it. Like,
basically, that's all you need.
Yep, I go and live. I work for myself now. I haven't worked. I finished work in end of January when the Wellington protest happened. I finished up work then. Haven't gone back to work. Like, I don't have all the money in the world. I don't have everything in the world, but I do know that I'm free, and I don't care. And I'm just living my life and just trying to show everyone else that it's achievable. It's not a hard goal to set yourself.
It's a
Exactly.
good point that you bring up, as far as what you want, as what we as individuals want, as opposed to what we need. And that's the question I try and ask everyone. What do you actually need to live the life that you want for yourself? Not what do you want, what do you actually need? And if people can just, you're not going to answer that question as soon as it's asked, but if people can just take time to think about what they actually need to live that life that they want, they're going to figure out very quickly that they don't need the fucking Dolce & Gabbana or the fucking, whatever bullshit brand, that they won't. And I think the other thing too is that people need to take responsibility for themselves. And you've both spoken about this already. But I think the biggest problem we have, like you both mentioned, is that people don't, they act like they want to do things, but then they're waiting for the people on either side of them to actually make the first move. So it's like, yeah, I want to do it, but like, you go first, or you go first. And it's like, you're effectively doing what, what those people call sheep on the other side are doing, because they're following what that other person is doing. And I think, taking responsibility obviously is like the biggest thing that we have to do as humans. And taking responsibility doesn't just happen and that's it. Like, that is a continued thing that you have to do for your life. And I think that that's a huge thing that, people aren't even ready to start looking at, let alone starting to face, what they're responsible for doing, the actions, words that they speak, whatever the case is. But just back to the wants and needs, I just think now, to me, it's just like, what do I actually need? it's nothing. I don't need anything. If I want something, I'll just fucking get it, but I don't need it. You know, all I want to do is be able to live a life where I am not in the constraints of the systems that we're currently in, which ironically enough, I actually, I have overdue tax that I have to pay. So to get out of the system, I've got to pay the system to get out of the fucking system, which, like, it infuriates me. Trust me, I can't fucking stand the thought. But the only way that I can, you know, eventually get out of this system is by paying tax. And yeah, ironic, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, isn't it? Well, look, we're sort of, what are we at now? We're at about an hour and just over an hour now. So I guess we'll look at sort of closing her up now. And with you know, first things first, is I want to say thank you guys for both giving me your time. I believe time is the most precious thing that we have. So in order for you guys to share your time with me, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everything that you guys are doing for everyone around in your circles, around in your countries, your neighborhoods, you know, your family and friends too, because one thing I believe is a lot of people out there that are standing up and talking don't get enough recognition for what they do. So just know that this is me saying thank you for what you guys are doing as well, and appreciate everything that you both do. Now I'll hand it over for you if you guys have got some last words to spit out to anyone out there, and last bit of words of wisdom or anything.
I'm probably the wrong guy for wisdom. I'll leave that up to Juma, but
give us a joke then, cuz.
Holy, this guy just loves to just throw the brother like into the fire, yo. Like,
you're the guy of wisdom. I'm the fucking idiot in this conversation.
No, you're the guy that just keeps blanking out or cutting me off. No, that's all it is, okay, bro?
I just want to say, obviously, thanks for having myself and Juma on. I really appreciate your time always. No matter what the circumstances are, you're always there whenever I reach out, and you know, I appreciate everything that you do, that you've done, that you continue to do. Juma, the same to you, man. Especially with, you know, your family and your kids and stuff, being able to balance all those things. And real quick, so I just wanted to say the videos from the Nas concert, man, they were fucking beautiful.
Oh yes,
I was so happy.
Yes.
I was so happy to see that, A, because I love Nas, but B, because I got to see you and your son spending that time that for 2.5 years you weren't able to, you know, spend that time, and that made me really happy. And things like that, you know, that they make people's days. So I just, yeah, both of you, thank you for like everything you've taught me. Thank you for your time. Just thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you again to Wayde and both you, Aaron, for having me on here, and also like sharing you guys' time with me and all that. Because as Wayde definitely stated, like time is definitely, you know, very precious. It's something that a lot of people don't really value. I always say that my presence is a gift, and don't waste it. You know what I mean? Because I could be giving my presence to something else then in regards to that. You know what I mean? So I do thank you of you guys giving your presence and time to me. So much obliged and much respect to it always. In regards to like what it was with me and my son, because yeah, like the COVID, I won't lie to you, I was still like doing family gatherings and all that during the COVID, like birthday gatherings and all that stuff. I even had like family that are jabbed up, still had them over. I didn't care. I'm like, you guys are family because we're not letting this cult group like divide our family. That was one thing that was just really big about it with me. And I hope that can also resonate with people going forward. But more importantly for me and my son was that he didn't get to have a high school graduation party, nothing, prom and all that. And as I've always said, for being a father, if I'm going to have my time with my son, I want it to be impactful. And
It was.
Every quality time with my son or with people that are around me, I wanted to make sure that I left something being impactful on them.
Like I said, man, it was absolutely beautiful to see, and it made my day, as I'm sure it did so many people. You're a fucking incredible individual and an even better father, and Wayde, again, you're fucking unreal, man. Much love to you both.
Listen, man, let's not go too far with the accolades. All right,
Yeah, that's enough now. Hang them up.
I thank you for the roses though while I'm alive. I much definitely appreciate
Absolutely.
it. But you know what I mean? That's what I say, like I just try to I don't try to act like I'm better than anybody, but I just know that I'm probably 1% different than everybody else. And I acknowledge my difference from like the next individual. And I just respect everybody's difference. That's what it has to come down to. And
Awesome.
seeing you how like you're showing me the respect for my individuality is the same way why we're on here on this platform, and why we're giving thanks to it, because we respecting one another's like each an individual way and how we're going about it with our vision towards freedom, or how we want to see freedom for everybody in future generations going forward. So thanks.
There we have it. There we have it, guys. So just for everyone out there, thank you guys for tuning on in for the new episode here. And I hope you guys have learned something, you've taken something away from this. But as I do with everything, I'll leave you with the last bits of words, and that is just to remember that you all are perfectly imperfect. You are all beautiful, and you are all loved. This is a mind game, and this is mind wars. The soul is their prize, and their mind is your mind is their goal. So just go out there, trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and last but not least, the most important thing to do while you're here on this plane is to remember who the fuck you are. All right, take your power back and remember who the fuck you are. All right. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the show, and we'll be back next week. So cheer, Fano. Peace out.
Love you guys.
Stay impenetrable, people. Stay strong. All right.